So when you're running a reminiscence or life history session for someone, there's a range of communication tools that you can use, and we spoke briefly in the last video about listening, which is probably the most important of all of them, but some of the other tools you can use are prologues. So a prologue is where you explain what's going to happen and what you're hoping to get out of the session. And that was work with certain clients who have comprehension, not so readily with those that maybe have a little bit of dementia going on or well on the journey, dementia journey. Your questions should be simple and not multi-faceted, not a load of questions into one question. And if you've got problems imagining what I mean, pull up something from the House of Commons Prime Minister's question time, and you'll quite often see someone pose a question to the Prime Minister that has 4 or 5 questions in one. And if people have got memory problems or whatever else, they're not going to remember all those questions. So they need to be simple, fairly direct questions. The beginning of the process would start with just general open questions. Then you might put in some questions that bait out answers. So they are more or less presumptive questions where you'd say something like, oh, so you worked at so-and-so, didn't you? And they'll either deny that or they'll go on into the storyline. It doesn't really matter, but you're just opening them up a little bit more to talk. Contextual questions, which all your questions should be around the subject area you're talking about with the person. Devil's advocate question basically is you get someone to argue the other person's perspective. So if they were in an argument with a family member and whatever else for years, you'd try and get them to argue what the other person felt and thought. The catch-all question, which normally comes at sort of the end of a session, where you'd ask something along the lines of, is there anything else that you feel that we should have discussed that is relevant to what we've been talking about today? Again, there has to be a level of comprehension there to use the question. Generally, you want to be exploring people's emotions and feelings, and you don't have to be all touchy and feely about that. It's just you allow that to come naturally with the person they talk to you, and allow them to draw it out. So I've summed up probably about 6 months study in about 3 minutes, but it gives you an overview of the type of questioning techniques you've got, and there is a lot. And don't be frightened to use closed questions, yes and no answers as well. I hope that's helpful, and good luck.